The storm hit the Oregon wilderness like nature's own fury unleashed. Marcus Reed pulled his waterproof jacket tighter as he navigated through the dense forest, his boots squelching in the mud with each step. As a wildlife researcher and survival expert, he'd weathered countless storms, but this one felt different. The air crackled with an energy that made his skin tingle, and his equipment readings were going haywire. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the forest in stark white flashes. That's when he saw it. A metallic gleam through the trees that definitely didn't belong in nature. Marcus approached cautiously, his hand instinctively moving to the knife at his belt. Years of military training had taught him to trust his instincts. And right now, they were screaming that something was very wrong. The object was partially buried in the soft earth, steam rising from its surface in the cool rain. It was sleek, organic-looking, despite being clearly artificial, about the size of a small car. The metal had an almost liquid quality, shifting between silver and deep purple in the lightning flashes. Marcus circled it warily, noting the complete absence of any markings or seams. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't made by human hands. A soft hiss made him freeze. The object was opening, petals of metal peeling back like a flower blooming in reverse. Warm light spilled out, casting everything in an ethereal glow. Marcus's hand found his knife handle, muscles coiled and ready to run or fight. Nothing could have prepared him for what emerged from that alien cocoon. She was beautiful in a way that defied description. Humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin held a subtle luminescence, like moonlight captured in flesh. Her hair fell in waves of deep amber, and her eyes were larger than any human's, colored like liquid starlight. She moved with fluid grace, each step deliberate and purposeful. When she spoke, her voice carried an otherworldly musical quality that resonated in his chest. "Do not fear me, Marcus Reed," she said, stepping fully into the rain. The water seemed to avoid her skin, sliding off without leaving her wet. "I have traveled far to find you." Marcus's grip tightened on his knife, though he didn't draw it. "How do you know my name?" "I know many things about you," she replied, tilting her head with genuine curiosity. "Your genetic markers, your psychological profile, your capacity for adaptation. You are perfect for what I need." "And what exactly do you need?" Marcus asked, though something in her tone made his pulse quicken. "A mate," she said simply, as if discussing the weather. "My name is Zara. I am what you would call a hybrid, created specifically for compatibility with your species. More precisely, with you." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He staggered back, mind reeling. "That's impossible. You're talking about breeding." "Yes," Zara interrupted, stepping closer. "Your DNA sequences were analyzed from samples collected over the past year. You were selected from thousands of candidates. Your genetic line, combined with my modifications, would produce exceptional offspring." Marcus felt the world tilt around him. "Samples? You've been watching me?" "Studying you," Zara corrected. "Learning your patterns, your preferences, your desires. I have been prepared for this moment since my creation." Lightning crashed overhead, and Marcus suddenly became aware of how exposed they were. Despite the impossibility of the situation, his survival instincts kicked in. "We need shelter," he said, glancing around at the storm-torn forest. "There's a cabin about a mile from here." Zara nodded, falling into step beside him as they began walking. "You are not what I expected," she said after a few minutes of silence. "What did you expect?" "Aggression, fear, attempts to capture or harm me." She glanced at him sidelong. "Instead, you offer shelter. Why?" Marcus considered the question as they pushed through the underbrush. "Because you're not trying to hurt." "Indeed, and because—" He paused, unsure how to articulate the strange pull he felt toward her. Because I've been alone for a long time. The cabin was a simple structure Marcus had built himself as a research outpost. He lit the oil lamps and started a fire in the stone fireplace while Zara stood by the window, watching the storm. In the warm lamplight, she looked even more ethereal, her skin taking on a subtle golden glow. "Tell me about where you come from," Marcus said, settling into a chair across from her. "My world is dying," Zara said simply. "My people, the Velern, have evolved beyond the need for traditional reproduction. We create offspring through genetic manipulation and artificial gestation. But in doing so, we have lost something essential. Our children lack the spark of true life, the passion that drives growth and innovation. So you came to Earth. My people have been watching humanity for generations. You possess something we have lost the ability to love, to sacrifice, to create beauty from chaos. Our scientists theorized that a hybrid of our species might reclaim what we have lost." Marcus leaned forward, captivated despite himself. "And you volunteered for this?" "I was created for this," Zara said, but her voice carried a note of uncertainty. "At least, that is what I believed. But now, being here with you, I find myself experiencing things I was not designed to feel." "Like what?" "Nervousness, anticipation, a desire for your approval that has nothing to do with my mission." She looked at him directly, and Marcus felt his breath catch. "Is this what you call attraction?" The question hung in the air between them, charged with possibility. Marcus stood slowly, crossing to where she sat. "May I?" he asked, reaching out to touch her face. Zara nodded, and Marcus gently cupped her cheek. Her skin was warm, softer than silk, and he could feel her tremble at his touch. "Yes," he whispered, "that's exactly what it is." Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory. Zara's lips were fuller than a human's, and she tasted like honey and starlight. When they broke apart, her eyes were wide with wonder. "I understand. Now," she breathed, "this is why my people sent me. Not just for genetics, but for this connection." Marcus pulled her closer, feeling the rightness of it in his bones. Whatever cosmic forces had brought them together, he was grateful. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the cabin, two beings from different worlds discovered that some bonds transcend species, transcend the vast emptiness between stars. As they held each other close, neither could have imagined the challenges that awaited them, or the love that would ultimately reshape both their people's destinies. Dawn broke soft and golden through the cabin windows, finding Marcus and Zara still entwined on the couch before the dying fire. Marcus woke first, his arm around Zara's waist, her head resting on his chest. For a moment, he wondered if the previous night had been an elaborate dream. Then Zara stirred, her luminous eyes fluttering open, and the reality of their situation crashed back over him. "Good morning," she said, her voice carrying that same musical quality that had captivated him from the first moment. Her skin seemed to glow more softly in the morning light, and Marcus found himself mesmerized by the way her amber hair caught the sunbeams. "Morning," he replied, reluctant to break the spell of the moment. "How do you feel?" "Different," Zara sighed, sitting up slowly. "Last night, when you kissed me, I felt something I was never programmed to experience. It was like awakening." Marcus sat up as well, studying her face. "What do you mean, programmed?" Zara's expression grew serious. "I should explain more about my creation. I am not simply a hybrid, I am a prototype. My genetic structure was carefully crafted using samples from your world and modifications from mine. Every aspect of my appearance, my personality, even my capacity for emotion, was designed to appeal specifically to you." The words hit Marcus like a cold shower. "You're saying you were built to seduce me?" "In the most literal sense, yes," Zara said, but her voice carried a note of pain. Your psychological profile indicated preferences for independence, intelligence, and mystery. My appearance was crafted to match ideals found in your personal data. Even my voice was modulated to resonate at frequencies that would appeal to your auditory preferences. Marcus stood abruptly, pacing to the window. The forest outside looked innocent in the morning light, giving no hint of the extraordinary events that had transpired. So nothing about this is real? You're just ... Following. Your programming? That's what I thought, Zara said softly. But Marcus, something unexpected happened when I met you. The emotions I'm experiencing now, they're not in my base programming. The way my heart races when you look at me, the desire I feel to protect you, to share my thoughts with you. These are developments my creators never anticipated. Marcus turned back to her, seeing the vulnerability in her expression. How can you be sure? Because my mission briefing was very specific, Zara said, standing to face him. I was instructed to locate you, establish genetic compatibility, and initiate reproduction. Once pregnant, I was to return to my ship for monitoring. Emotions were considered unnecessary complications. And now? Now I find myself unwilling to complete my mission as originally designed. The thought of leaving you causes me actual pain, something I was never meant to experience. Marcus felt his anger dissolving, replaced by something deeper. What are you saying? I'm saying that whatever I was created to be, I'm becoming something more, something real. Zara stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. Last night, when you held me, I felt complete for the first time since my awakening. Is that love, Marcus? This overwhelming need to be close to you? Instead of answering with words, Marcus pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a passion that surprised them both. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Yes, he whispered against her lips. That's love. What followed was a morning of discovery. Zara showed Marcus how her ship had tracked him through the forest, how her people had been observing human behavior for decades. She revealed the extent of their technology, the way they could manipulate matter at the molecular level, their ability to travel between stars and ships that defied human understanding of physics. Why me specifically? Marcus asked as they sat together, sharing a simple breakfast he'd prepared. Your genetic markers indicated optimal compatibility, Zara explained. But beyond that, your psychological profile showed resilience, adaptability, and a capacity for deep emotional connection. You've survived trauma, yet remained capable of trust. You're intelligent without being rigid, strong without being cruel. You make me sound like a prize-breeding animal, Marcus said, though he was smiling. To my people, that's exactly what you are, Zara said seriously. But to me, you're something far more precious. You're the first being I've ever met who makes me want to be more than I was created to be. As the day progressed, their connection deepened. They talked for hours about their respective worlds, their hopes and fears. Zara described the sterile perfection of her home world, where beauty was calculated and emotions were seen as inefficient. Marcus shared stories of human resilience, of the messy, chaotic love that drove people to extraordinary acts of courage and sacrifice. Your people sound wonderfully alive, Zara said, as they walked through the forest together, her hand in his. We are, Marcus agreed. It's our blessing and our curse. We feel everything so intensely. Show me, Zara said, stopping to face him. Show me what it means to be truly alive. Marcus didn't need to be asked twice. He pulled her close, pouring all his growing feelings into a kiss that left them both trembling. When they broke apart, Zara's eyes were bright with tears. I never knew, she whispered. I never knew it could be like this. This is just the beginning, Marcus said, holding her close. If you stay with me, If you choose this, I'll show you everything, the good and the bad, the joy and the pain, all of it. I want that, Zara said fiercely. I want all of it. With you. As the sun set on their second day together, Marcus and Zara made love with a passion that transcended their different origins. In the soft glow of the firelight, their bodies moved together in perfect harmony, each touch and caress a promise of the life they might build together. But even as they lost themselves in each other, neither could forget the larger forces at work. Zara's people would come looking for her eventually. And when they did, Marcus and Zara would have to decide whether their love was worth defying an entire civilization. For now, though, they had each other, and that was enough. The third morning brought with it an ominous change in the air. Marcus woke to find Zara standing rigid by the window, her entire body tense with alertness. Her skin, usually glowing with soft warmth, had taken on a cooler, more metallic sheen. "What is it?" Marcus asked, instantly alert. His military training kicked in, and he was reaching for his gear before he was fully awake. "Someone comes," Zara said, her voice carrying none of its usual musical quality. "One of my people. I can sense their biosignature." Marcus joined her. At the window, scanning the forest. To his human senses, everything looked normal: trees swaying in the morning breeze, birds beginning their dawn course. But Zara's enhanced perception was picking up something his couldn't. "Is it a rescue party?" he asked. "No," Zara said, her voice tight with worry. "It's my superior, Commander Voss. He's here to check on my progress." As if summoned by her words, a figure emerged from the tree line. Marcus's first impression was of absolute authority made manifest. Commander Voss was tall and imposing, his features sharper than Zara's, more angular. His skin held a darker luminescence, almost silver, and his eyes were cold as winter stars. Unlike Zara, he made no attempt to appear human. His presence seemed to bend the very air around him. "Zara," his voice carried across the clearing, and Marcus was surprised to hear it in perfect English. "You have exceeded your mission parameters." Zara straightened, and Marcus saw her personality shift, becoming more formal, more distant. "Commander Voss, I was not expecting direct supervision. Your extended absence from scheduled check-ins necessitated intervention," Voss said, his gaze shifting to Marcus with undisguised assessment. "I see you have successfully made contact with the target." "The target has a name," Marcus said, stepping forward. He'd faced down enemy soldiers and dangerous wildlife, but something about Voss made his skin crawl. "Indeed," Voss said, his tone carrying the barest hint of amusement. "Marcus Reed, age 32, former military, current wilderness researcher. Genetic compatibility rating, 94.7%. Psychological adaptability index, excellent. You should be honored human. You are the culmination of 3 years of careful selection." "3 years?" Marcus turned to Zara, who couldn't meet his eyes. "You've been watching me for 3 years?" "The observation program began with a pool of 10,000 candidates," Voss explained with clinical detachment. "Through careful analysis of genetic samples, psychological profiles, and behavioral patterns, we narrowed the selection to 100, then 10, then ultimately to you." Marcus felt sick. "The blood samples from my medical exams, the psychological evaluations for my research permits. You were behind all of that?" "We have operatives embedded throughout your governmental and medical systems," Voss said matter-of-factly. "Gathering data on your species has been remarkably simple. Humans are wonderfully predictable in their need to document everything about themselves. You son of a..." Marcus started forward, but Zara caught his arm. "Please," she said quietly, "don't make this worse." "Worse?" Marcus stared at her. "Zara, they've been violating my privacy, my autonomy, for years. They've been planning this planning. Use like some kind of experiment. Because that's exactly what it is, Vos said. Zara is the first of what we hope will be many successful hybrid unions. Her genetic modifications, combined with your human DNA, will produce offspring with the best traits of both species, the strength and adaptability of humanity, tempered by the advanced consciousness of the Valern. And what about choice? Marcus demanded. What about consent? What about love? Love, Voss repeated the word like it tasted bitter. An inefficient, emotional response that leads to poor decision-making. Your species' obsession with this concept is precisely why you remain trapped on a single world while we traverse the galaxy. It's also why we've survived everything this universe has thrown at us, Marcus shot back. Wars, disasters, extinction. Events. We survive because we care about each other, because we're willing to sacrifice for something greater than ourselves. For the first time, Voss looked genuinely interested. Fascinating. And do you care for Zara? Marcus glanced at Zara, who was watching him with desperate hope in her eyes. Yes, I love her. Even knowing she was created specifically to manipulate your emotions? She's more than her programming, Marcus said firmly. She's become her own person. She's chosen to be with me, just as I've chosen to be with her. Has she? Voss turned to Zara. Have you informed the target of the full scope of your mission? Zara's face went pale. Commander, please. Tell him, Zara. Tell him about the breeding schedule. Tell him about the monitoring protocols. Tell him about the retrieval timeline. Marcus felt the world shift beneath his feet. What is he talking about? The human reproductive cycle is inefficient, Voss explained when Zara remained silent. Our projections indicate that natural conception could take months or even years. Therefore, Zara has been equipped with genetic modification capabilities. That will ensure immediate fertilization upon mating. You mean she's already? Marcus couldn't finish the sentence. Pregnant, Voss confirmed. As of last night, most likely. The embryo is already developing at an accelerated rate. She will carry the child for approximately 4 months before returning to our ship for monitoring and eventual delivery. Marcus staggered backward, his mind reeling. 4 months? And then what? You just take her away. The hybrid offspring will require specialized care that can only be provided by our medical facilities, Voss said. Zara will remain for observation during the early childhood development phase, perhaps permanently if her maternal instincts prove too strong to overcome. And me? Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. Your genetic material has been successfully harvested. You will be returned to your normal life with appropriate memory modifications to prevent disclosure of our activities. The casual cruelty of it hit Marcus like a physical blow. You bastards. You're going to take my child and my memories of the woman I love? We're going to ensure the continuation of both our species, Voss said. This is bigger than your individual desires. Human, no, Marcus said, his voice growing stronger. This is about my life, my choices, my love, and I won't let you take any of it. He turned to Zara, who was crying now actual tears that caught the light like liquid diamonds. Is it true? Are you pregnant? I think so, she whispered. I can feel something changing inside me. But Marcus, I didn't know about the memory modifications. I thought ... I hoped. You hoped what? That we could have a real life together. That our child could grow up with both parents. That love could be stronger than programming. Marcus looked between Zara and Voss, his mind racing. He'd been in impossible situations before, faced enemies, with superior firepower and training. But this was different. This was about more than survival. It was about the right to choose his own destiny. There's something you should know about humans, he said to Voss. We're at our most dangerous when we're protecting the people we love. You cannot fight an entire civilization, human, Voss said dismissively. Maybe not, Marcus admitted. But I can fight for the woman I love and the child we created together. And I can show you that some things are worth more than genetic compatibility or breeding programs. He took Zara's hand, feeling her fingers tremble in his. What do you? Want, Zara? Not what you were programmed to want, but what you truly desire. I want to stay with you, she said, her voice growing stronger. I want to raise our child together. I want to build a life based on choice, not programming. Then that's what we'll do, Marcus said, pulling her close. No matter what it takes. Voss watched this exchange with growing irritation. You cannot. Simply walk away from this, Zara. You are Velen property. The genetic modifications that allow you to survive in this environment, the knowledge you carry, all of it belongs to our people. I belong to myself, Zara said, her voice ringing with newfound conviction. And I choose Marcus. I choose love over duty, choice over programming. Then you have chosen poorly, Voss said, and Marcus saw something dangerous flicker in his eyes. If you will not return willingly, other arrangements will be made. As if summoned by his words, the forest around them began to change. Trees swayed without wind, and the air itself seemed to shimmer. Marcus realized with growing horror that they were not alone. The entire clearing was surrounded by invisible watchers. Run, Zara whispered urgently. Marcus, we have to run. But as they turned to flee, Marcus knew that running wouldn't be enough. They were going to have to fight for their love, their freedom, and their right to determine their own future. And the battle was just beginning. The forest had become a maze of shadows and whispers. Marcus and Zara ran hand in hand through the undergrowth, their breath coming in ragged gasps as they fought their way deeper into the wilderness. Behind them, the air shimmered with the movement of Voss's invisible soldiers, their presence marked only by the way birds fell silent and small animals fled in terror. There, Zara pointed to a rocky outcropping ahead. We can take shelter in those caves. Marcus didn't question her enhanced senses. They scrambled up the loose stone, finding a narrow opening that led into a network of limestone caves. The space was cramped and dark, but it would hide them from immediate pursuit. How many? Marcus asked, checking his equipment by feel. He had his survival knife, a small first aid kit, and not much else. Against advanced alien technology, it felt pathetically inadequate. At least a dozen, Zara said, her skin providing a faint glow in the darkness. Maybe more. Voss doesn't take chances. Can they track us in here? For a while, yes. But the limestone will interfere with their sensors. It gives us time to think. Marcus settled beside her, drawing her close. In the pale light of her bioluminescence, he could see the fear in her eyes, but also something else, a determination that hadn't been there before. Are you really pregnant? He asked softly. Zara placed a hand on her stomach. I can feel it. The changes have begun. By your human standards. I'm probably about 2 weeks along, but the development is accelerated. I'll be showing within days. And the memory modification? Did you know about that? No, Zara said, her voice breaking. I swear to you, Marcus, I didn't know. I hoped they would let us choose our own path once the child was conceived. Marcus tilted her chin up, meeting her eyes. It doesn't matter what you knew or didn't know. What matters is what you choose now. I choose you, Zara said without hesitation. I choose our child. I choose love over duty, freedom over programming. Then we fight, Marcus said simply. We find a way to protect what we've built together against an entire civilization. Marcus, you don't understand what you're up against. The Velen have technology that could level your cities, weapons that could sterilize entire continents. They've been watching your species for decades, studying your weaknesses. And what have they learned? Zara paused, thinking. That humans are chaotic, unpredictable. That you make decisions based on emotion rather than logic. They see it as a weakness. But you don't? No, Zara said, her voice growing stronger. I've seen what human emotion can accomplish. The way you fight for what you believe in, the way you sacrifice for others, the way you love with everything you have. It's not weakness, it's the most powerful force in the universe. Marcus kissed her then, pouring all his love and determination into the gesture. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Tell me about their weaknesses, he said. Every species has them. The Velern prize efficiency above all else, Zara explained. They've eliminated chaos from their society, but in doing so, they've also eliminated adaptability. They struggle to comprehend actions that don't follow logical patterns. Like love? Like love, Zara confirmed. They can't understand why you would risk everything for a single person, why you would choose an uncertain future over a secure one. They see it as a form of madness. Then we'll give them madness, Marcus said grimly. We'll show them what humans are capable of when they're protecting something precious. A sound from the cave entrance made them both freeze. Footsteps, careful and deliberate, echoing off the stone walls. Marcus drew his knife, positioning himself between Zara and the entrance. I know you're in there. Voss's voice carried through the darkness. This is pointless, Zara. You cannot survive long term. Without the genetic stabilizers in your ship, your hybrid physiology will begin to break down within days. He's lying, Zara whispered, but Marcus could hear the uncertainty in her voice. Perhaps, Voss continued, but the human's child will certainly suffer. The modifications I mentioned are not optional, they're necessary for survival. Without proper monitoring, the fetus will not develop correctly. Marcus felt Zara's hand tighten on his arm. Is that true? I don't know, she admitted. The pregnancy protocols were classified above my clearance level. Come out now, Voss called, and I will allow the human to retain his memories of you. Consider it a gesture of goodwill. Don't trust him, Marcus said quietly. He's trying to manipulate us. But what if he's right about the baby? Zara's voice was anguished. What if I'm endangering our child by staying here? Marcus turned to face her, his hands framing her face. And we find another way. We don't give up just because the path is uncertain. There is no other way, Voss said, apparently close enough to hear their whispered conversation. The Velern fleet is already en route. 3 ships, each carrying enough firepower to devastate your continent. They will arrive within the day. Why? Marcus called out. Why bring a fleet for one hybrid? Because you have become more than an inconvenience, Voss replied. Your influence on Zara has created variables we did not anticipate. If she defects, it could inspire others to do the same. The entire hybrid program could be compromised. Good, Marcus said. Maybe it's time your people learned that beings with consciousness deserve the right to choose their own destiny. And maybe it's time your species learned that some choices have consequences beyond your comprehension. The sound of footsteps receded, leaving Marcus and Zara alone in the darkness. They held each other close, both understanding that their time was running out. I have an idea, Zara said suddenly. It's dangerous, but it might work. Tell me. The ship I arrived in, it's still functional. If we can reach it, I can access the communication array. I can contact other hybrids. Tell them what's happening here. Other hybrids? I'm not the only one, Zara explained. There are dozens of us, scattered across multiple worlds. If they knew the truth about the program, about the memory modifications and forced separations, some might choose to resist. Marcus felt a spark of hope. A rebellion? More than that, Zara said, her eyes bright with possibility. A revolution. The Velen have eliminated love and choice from their society, but they've created beings who are capable of both. We could be the bridge between our species not as breeding stock, but as partners. What do you need from me? I need you to be human, Zara said simply. I need you to show them what love looks like, what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself. I need you to be the example that proves humans aren't just genetically useful, they're necessary. Marcus nodded, understanding. We reach the ship together. We send your message, and then we face whatever comes next. Together, Zara agreed. They made their way deeper into the cave system, following passages that led back toward the crash site. The journey was treacherous in the darkness, but Zara's enhanced senses guided them safely through the maze of stone as they emerged into the pre-dawn light. Marcus could see the ship in the distance, its alien curves gleaming in the early morning sun. Between them and their destination, the forest writhed with hidden activity. Voss's soldiers, waiting for them to make their move. Ready? Marcus asked, checking his knife one final time. Ready, Zara said, her hand finding his. Whatever happens. Marcus, I want you to know that loving you was the first real choice I ever made, and I don't regret it. Neither do I, Marcus said, bringing her hand to his lips. Let's go show the universe what humans are capable of. They ran toward the ship, toward uncertainty, toward a future that would be determined by their courage and their love. Behind them, the forest erupted into chaos as Voss's soldiers gave chase. But ahead lay the possibility of freedom, of choice, of a love that could bridge the gap between worlds. The battle for their future was about to begin. The ship's interior was a marvel of organic architecture, all flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. Marcus followed Zara through corridors that adjusted their dimensions as they passed, the walls recognizing her genetic signature and granting them access to the ship's core systems. The communication array is in the central chamber, Zara explained. As they ran, behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Voss's soldiers had breached the ship's outer hull, their weapons cutting through the alien metal like paper. I'll need about 5 minutes to encode and transmit the message. You'll have it, Marcus promised, though he wasn't sure how he'd deliver on that promise with nothing but a knife and determination. The central chamber was breathtaking, a spherical room, filled with floating holographic displays and streams of data that flowed like liquid light. At its center stood a crystalline structure that pulsed with the rhythm of a heartbeat. The ship's consciousness, Zara explained, placing her hands on the crystal. It's been waiting for me to return. Immediately, the room came alive with activity. Displays flickered to life, showing star maps and communication channels that spanned the galaxy. Zara's fingers danced over controls that existed more as thoughts than physical interfaces, her enhanced nervous system interfacing directly with the ship's systems.